Hi guys, welcome to Ecmascript tutorial series. Today we are going to see about the topic default parameters. The default parameters are one of the simple, straightforward topic in Ecmascript 6. It is widely used because of its simplicity and readability. The default parameters are used if some of the parameters in the function are optional. First we will see an example for basic default parameters. First open Visual Studio Code and I have created a folder named default parameters. Inside that create a file named basic.js. Now I am going to create a function named basic function basic and I am going to have two parameters for this function. One is name and another is salutation. And I am just going to print it in the console. And now I am going to call this function basic with two parameters name David and salutation hi. Let's see about this function. In this case, we are calling the function with the two parameters David and hi. So the output is printed as hi David in the console. In some cases, we want to define a default value to a parameter. If the parameter value is not passed from the function call, then there must be a value which can be taken as default. This is where default parameter comes into the picture. For example, I am not going to pass this value hi. If I am not going to pass the value hi, there will be no salutation here. But I want a default value for the salutation. Let's take if the salutation value is not present in the function call, I need to default it to hi. That is, the syntax is function call the parameter equal to the default value. I am putting it as hi. Now I am only passing name, that is David. I am not passing salutation. In this case, the output will be hi and David because the default value for the salutation is hi. Let's see this in browser. And I have created a index.html basic.js. Right click and give inspect. In the console, I am getting the value hi David. For example, what happens if I go ahead and pass a value for the salutation? Let's take I am going to pass dear. In this case, dear will be overridden. In this case, the dear has higher precedence than the default value, that is default parameter. So the output will be dear David. Let's see this in browser. Here we got dear David. This is what the basic functionality of default parameter. Now we will see about the next thing in the default parameters, which is passing undefined as one of its parameters. For example, we having two values, that is name and salutation, and we will swap their places, salutation and name. In this case, I am passing only one value, that is David. This David will be the salutation. So how to tackle this? We can pass undefined as one of the parameters. If we pass undefined as one of the parameters, this salutation will be taken as undefined and name will be taken as David. So let's see this in Chrome. The next in default parameters is referring previous param as default value. Let us discuss this with an example. For this, I will write a function named defparams and I am declaring two parameters a and b. Here I am defaulting b to the a's value where c equal to a plus b. Console.tar. We'll just print the summation of a and b. Now we will run this. We will pass only one argument to the function, that is 3. If we pass 3, we got the output. The sum of 3 and 3 is 6 because b gets the value a if b is unassigned. Let's take this example and we assign a value for b. In this case, we are getting the sum of 3 and 5 is 8. This is referring previous param as default. In this case, a's value is taken as b's default value. Next, we will see about argument object interactions. The arguments object is not mapped to the parameters even outside strict mode. Let's see this with an example. To explain this, we will see two examples, one without default parameters and one with default parameters. I have wrote a one small function, that is it takes three parameters a, b and c, and it redefines the value of a, and then we are printing the arguments object length and first and second arguments. That's what this function does. This function is without default parameters because we are not assigning any default parameters to the params a, b and c. Now let's run this function. We got the output. The argument's length is 2 and the first argument value is high and the second argument value is Augustine. What is happening is I am calling this function test with the two arguments, namely David and Augustine. So the A's value is David and B's value is Augustine. Now here A's value will be replaced with high. So the zeroth argument is replaced with high and first argument is Augustine. Now we try to see the same example with the default parameters. I'm just passing some values like ABCD, X, Y, Z, and P, Q, R. Clearing this, now I am passing David and Augustine. Now let's see what will be the output is. In this case, once we have added default parameters to A, B and C, there we can able to see the arguments object is not mapped to the parameters even outside the strict mode. Whenever we declare any default value to the params, the argument object will not be mapped to the parameters. Now we will see about temporal dead zone. To know more about temporal dead zone and hoisting, check my video tutorial on hoisting and temporal dead zone, the link for which I have given in the description. The temporal dead zone in default parameters means if you try to access a param before it is initialized. Let's see this example. I am using a IFI. To know more about IFI, check my video tutorial on IFI. Whenever I try to run this IFI, we are getting an error like A is not defined because I am trying to assign A to A. At this point of time, A is still not defined. So we are getting the error A is not defined. Let's see another example. A equal to B, comma B. I am trying to assign B to A, but it is a second parameter. So I am getting an error like B is not defined. This is temporal dead zone in default parameters. The next thing in default parameters is parameters default value won't see the scope of the body. That is, for this I will write a small example where x equal to David, and I am writing a function text a equal to x where x equal to Augustine, and I'm trying to print this a, and I am trying to run this test without any arguments. I got the output David. That is, I am using the same variable x which is also present inside the body, but in default parameters the default parameter won't see the value or the variables which we have declared in the body of the function. That is, parameters default value don't see the scope of the body. So this is a different scope and this is a different scope. We can even assign a function to this a. Whenever we assign a function to a, that function has a different scope and this body has a different scope. We'll try this function. I'm getting the value David. Whatever we declare as default value has a different scope, and this scope don't see the scope of the body. This is what the parameters default value don't see scope of the body. Default parameters also supported in the new function. If you never heard about new function, here is the brief explanation about new function. I will write a small code to explain a new function. My func equal to new function a equal to 1, b equal to 2, c equal to 3, and console.log a into b into c. This is a new function. The last argument of new function is the function body and all other arguments are the function's parameters. This is same as a equal to 1, b equal to 2 and c equal to 3, console.log a into b into c. This is same as this. Now default parameters has support to the new function. That is, I am trying to assign default values to A, B and C. Let's run this function and see what the output is. My function, and I am calling this function with only one argument, that is 3. So the value will be like 3, and second value, since I'm not passing, it will be defaulted to 2, and third will be 3. We will get the output as 18. This is the default parameters as support to the new function. These are all the features in default parameters. Thanks for watching this video. For more technical videos, please subscribe this channel.